Alright guys, we're going to take a look. This will be the second game in our blue-white artifacts aggro deck. This is one I wanted to showcase for partially my mistakes. Second, it's a really nice game. Comes down definitely to the end and was definitely a nail-biter and not necessarily a happy ending, but that's okay. Not every deck is going to win every game. So, this was the opening hand. It's not bad. We do have Golem Foundry, which is going to be great on turn 3 if we can get extra land. We have both of the Sanctum Gargoyles, which is excellent because those can recur each other. And when you put those in combination to Golem Foundry, it makes a really nice combination. Especially you'll see here my opponent is playing mono black, so definitely makes it even better. So we're going to start out here. We're going to put down, whenever you have the opportunity, it's usually best to play a basic land over an artifact land. This way, if you do get an idol later on, you can use the artifact lands to activate it, and you will actually keep those in hand. So draw is another Golem Foundry, which is okay. It's not bad, it's not good, but we'd really like to see more of the shield mages. Opponent starts off, like I said, mono black control with Sign in Blood, so that's where he's going to have a lot of kill spells, which means that we're going to definitely be getting a lot of use out of these gargoyles returning each other, and even better, we'll have a foundry in play. We did hit our third land on this turn, so that's great. We can get this in on turn 3, and then a gargoyle, and then whenever he kills off one of the gargoyles, we'll use the other to return it. Now I'm going to make the play, going to put an island down. Jeez, everything but island there. So we're going to put the island down so that we have an option to use accumulated knowledge or crack the spell bomb at the end of our opponent's turn. At this point in time, let's see, he plays a Rager, and here's the first thing. First off, at this point in time, accumulated knowledge is probably the better play. Right now, the spell bomb is going to net us +1 card plus a 1/1 creature, and I put that down first. However, I think the better play may be accumulated knowledge. We're not going to get the creature out, but we will increase the draw in the mid to late game by getting that first one in the graveyard, meaning our next one's going to give us more cards off the draw. I think that would be a better play here because my opponent, being mono black control, he is running heavier on the control spells, a little bit creature light, maybe about 20, which isn't totally creature light, but most of their deck is going to be comprised of kill spells. So I think this was a misplay on my part, but what I did decide to do was crack the spell bomb in order to get that token creature in addition to a card draw. So this is all well and good, and I start to tap out the 2 lands. I'm going to need a colorless to crack this and then a white to draw a card. Unfortunately, because I clicked the spell bomb first, and then it prompts you, pay 1, and I clicked the planes first, not thinking about it, and so it cracked the spell bomb using the white mana to form the 1/1 creature. Which means that I do not have the 1 white to pay in order to draw a card. So right there, it was even significantly more worse than accumulated knowledge. So I definitely screwed up there and did not get the draw. So keep that in mind when you're making this play. Either you tap out the lands before clicking on the spell bomb, or after you click on the spell bomb and it shows here saying, pay 1, then you want to make sure you click the blue first, not the white, or have another white available to you at the very least. So, draw here is in Evolving Wilds. You might be tempted to play that first in order to search out a card. Thin out lands, that's my first instinct in all times. But what I actually decided was the better play here is to put out Ancient Den, so we can get that Golem Foundry into play as soon as possible. You want to kind of get that online and start feeding artifacts to the counter, up the counters here as fast as you can. We'll have to take a little damage here, but we do have the 1/1 token that we can use to chump block this Rager at some point. He uses a Duress, and I really thought his better move here would have been accumulated knowledge. Perhaps not. I will find out in a second here. He did have a second one, but he chooses to get rid of my Golem Foundry, which is okay. Maybe for the fact that I would not be able to play a Gargoyle on my next turn unless I draw a basic land, in addition to the fact that accumulated knowledge is going to kind of help me because of the fact that he's going to be able to. Man, I'm just having one of those days. If he were to choose accumulated knowledge, it would help me because my next accumulated knowledge would already have the one in the grave. So it's -1 on the initial, but it's still going to work out. So, draw the Glint Hawk idol. We're going to put that into play. Another bad move on my part here. This is another mistake. Paying 2 to put the idol into play since I do not have another play except for accumulated knowledge. So I'm thinking, okay, I have Evolving Wilds. I'll leave blue mana open so that I can play Evolving Wilds and have mana open for accumulated knowledge. Unfortunately, being stupid, I did not, I don't know. Clearly, you hear me trying to commentate this. I'm not having a great day here. My mind is elsewhere. But so clearly, when I use this, when I actually get land from my Evolving Wilds, it's going to be tapped. So I'm going to be having 1 mana available and unable to play accumulated knowledge. So this was a big mistake on my part. I should have, not huge, but I should have left white mana open in order to play the plains, so we could activate the idol if necessary. So that's going to go down. The Foundry is going to get a counter. I'm going to get our second blue mana source. So there's the second Duress. Gets rid of the accumulated knowledge, which I really wanted to end up playing this turn, but because I'm stupid and can't do basic thinking, it's not going to happen. So another land comes down. We're now at the ability to pay the 4 and get our first Gargoyle in play. Like I said, these 2 Gargoyles will cycle each other, but right now I don't have that ability. So what I'm going to do is use the Gargoyle to fetch off the Spellbomb. This is going to immediately give me my third counter. The Gargoyle will count for the second counter as it comes into play. Then it's going to return the Spellbomb, and with my 1 available mana, I am going to replay the Spellbomb in order to get this Golem Foundry up to 3 counters. This means that on the end of my opponent's turn, I can trigger it, use the ability to put the 3/3 counter into play. Also, by playing this, I have activated my idol, so I will be able to attack through for 2. So let's fast forward through that. He does, you see, this is mono black control, so he is easily able to kill off some of my creatures through things like Sorin's Thirst here. Definitely gonna be trouble because as I'm doing some damage to him, it's just going on right back. But that's okay. We are going to be able to sit back here for a little bit. Like I said, the Golem token you're going to want to put in end of turn. It's really the ideal thing to do. Here, what you could have done in response to this was create a token if you wanted to keep the Gargoyle, but what I wanted to do is get that in the graveyard so I can recur it with my other one. And that's basically just going to give me free counters for my token generator. And to turn here, we are going to take off that counter and give it a 3/3 token. It would have been something that I would have done in response to him attacking if he had decided to do so, but because he didn't, I'm just going to wait till end of turn so that it has haste and whatnot. So now I don't know if at this point he remembers the fact that I have the Gargoyle in hand or not, but because I drew my first Shield Mage, I want to leave mana open for that. So I'll attack with the Golem, and when he attacks in response on his turn, I can play the Shield Mage and kill off his Rager for free. So I'm going to use this mana, and correctly this time, to crack the Spellbomb and draw a card. We get a Stormblade, which is nice. It'll help us later on. Definitely it ends up being a nice sized creature, and you can't complain over that. So, opponent's turn, drops a Swamp, attacks through with the Rager, and this is what I said. This is where I'm going to cast now the Shield Mage. Gets me my first counter again on the Foundry and prevents the damage. So we're going to now chump block that, and it's going to survive. Fast forward to that. He drew cards. He also managed to use Victim of the Night to get rid of the Gargoyle. The Golem token. I'm behind a little here. And he had played this Geth's Verdict, and I chose to sacrifice the 1/1 Mirror token that I got off the Spellbomb. So here I have a couple plays. I could have done Stormblade and Accumulated Knowledge, but what I decided to do is I wanted to keep building up counters on this Foundry. So I played the Golem, and I fetched out the Golem, as I've been talking about. So these two, having these Gargoyles, I sincerely apologize. I'm having an off day, but this is not really a saved replay. So as soon as this closes, it's gone forever. But using the gargoyle to return the gargoyle in order to up the counters on the foundry. And I'm gonna start swinging through now that I have a clear path. All right, so opponent's turn. He is going to tap out, and this is where things get really bad. He hits into a corrupt, which takes me down to 6 and brings him back up to 20. Definitely sucks. Now I need to go aggro as fast as I can, knowing that I had, not necessarily forgotten about it, but I really didn't have an answer. So as soon as he gets these corrupts, he's got one card in hand, so I know he's going to end up being at a point in time where he needs to top deck corrupt over these turns in order to beat me. So I want to get this aggro going as fast as possible. And yeah, I still decided to hold on to the gargoyle. This is, I don't know. Maybe I should have used the gargoyle to return the idol and have that extra creature available to me, but I left the mana open in order to play this extra accumulated knowledge that I have in hand. You see my foundry's now gotten again to 3 counters to create a token. And I decided to use the knowledge in hopes of finding something better. So going to use the knowledge in response to the chittering rats, and that kind of helps me cancel out the non-draw from the rats and puts me ahead 1. It also gives me a little choice as far as what I want next turn. So I'm going to decide to put the foundry on top. It's a little slow at this point in time. Like I said, I am in a race against time, a race against his deck, in order to try and get these things out as fast as I can. I have the mana available to me. I am going to put down the foundry, as well as replaying the idol, and this time I do correctly leave 1 mana open for activating the idol if necessary. And we're getting to that point again, building up the tokens off the foundries, or the counters on the foundries. We have one at 2, the other at 3, and we've got my opponent down to 6 now. He chose not to block, so I guess he was figuring it was all or nothing. He does actually get the draw into the corrupt, as you'll see here, to win this game, but it was definitely very, very close. It was like the one thing he needed to win this game, and he managed to get it. So a bit of a heartbreaker, but I really, like I said, I wanted to show this to you in order to let you see the mistakes that I made in the beginning of the game, in hopes that you do not do the same. Plus, I think this was a decent showing of how these golem foundries ended up working out as far as generating these tokens. So there you go, and check out the other games and definitely the deck tech.